Jack Reacher begins like any other crime thriller. A murder is established, an innocent victim is accused, and a hero comes forth to reveal the truth. It wasn't until Jack Reacher talks about freedom that I caught a whiff of something else, something that smelt a little like propaganda.
Tell me which ones are free. Ask yourself, how many would do things the same way all over again? And how many would live their lives like me?
A tenet of Scientology is that people lose their freedom because ultimately, ignorance of their so-called true self traps them in an ever-worsening emotional state, which in turn is ultimately responsible for all the world's problems. When Reacher says,
You have to look at the victims objectively.
he's trying to tell Helen that she doesn't understand herself or the world she lives in. She needs help. She needs his help. She needs
Jack Reacher, Scientology's chosen one.
Reacher walked away from his normal life because he became disillusioned with society, prompted by the Army's refusal to convict a murderer. But Reacher wouldn't walk away because of one case. James Barr was a metaphor for people in general. Scientology says that people are essentially trained to lose their true self as painful experiences pile up. Scientology refers to these experiences as engrams. And engrams cause society in general to lose their way, just like James Barr and Reacher's military superiors, who were just like outsiders to Scientology.
As somebody who was a Scientologist for over 35 years, what they disseminate was that we were responsible for mankind.
Only when Reacher thinks he can help will he surface, but he'll only help if the authorities play by his rules.
Any chance I could look at the evidence?
No way. Not till you answer some
Nice
questions.
meeting you.
Just like Scientologists will only talk about their religion if people adhere to their rules.
This is just I want to say this to the press and people who talk about Scientology, is you should always talk to somebody who is in. Because if you don't get the nomenclature 100% correct,
Right.
we have a way of just kind of discrediting you from if you're not using it correctly.
But Helen convinces Reacher that her mind is open and thoughtful, that she, as a Thetan, hasn't been completely corrupted by engrams. Reacher then decides to help, less to exonerate Barr, and more to nurture the searching mind to enlightenment. Here is where the real story arc begins. The film is about Helen's journey from being one of the ignorant non-believers to a devoted follower and believer in Jack Reacher's teachings. Jack Reacher is an avatar for Tom Cruise. The whole movie is an analogy for what Tom Cruise does for Scientology. The movie acts as a guide for the newest devoted follower, or for those who currently follow Scientology's rules. It shows them what to expect from society and the people in their lives. Imagine watching the movie as if you were a Scientologist. The murder case seems clear enough, just like the world often seems to make sense. But Reacher sees better than the rest of us, because he's enlightened, and will show us the truth if we're willing to listen. But this means he'll be attacked for his ideas, just like Scientology tends to be the butt of jokes and ridicule.
I heard you.
But when Reacher reveals the truth to Helen, her defensiveness was predictable, because she hadn't yet fully freed herself from her engrams. Her social conditioning still had a hold over her.
I can't do this anymore.
Thanks for the coffee, counselor.
So Reacher leaves, as he can't make her see the truth. But she overcomes her fears and becomes a true believer, pursuing evidence to support what she now believes to be true. But that only makes her the target of all the non-believers. Freshly converted, she now has to have the strength to believe that the same people who try to frame James Barr are the same people who are trying to frame Reacher for the murder of the young girl.
How much of this do you honestly believe?
It doesn't matter how much I believe. It doesn't even matter how much I can prove. It only matters how much is true.
Do you know how delusional you sound?
As she begins to believe, her beliefs are tested by everyone who doesn't share her belief, such as society and even her very family.
That they ask you to disconnect from your own family.
They don't ask you.
It's families against each other.
Yes, they don't ask you. It's a requirement.
Now that she's become a believer, she's become a target. Now, no one can be trusted. She can only trust herself, and Jack Reacher,
The chosen one.
or some counselor or auditor within the Church of Scientology, of course. But Reacher is the ultimate target, and he knows it.
Listen, Helen, they're not gonna hurt you until they have me. And that's never gonna happen.
He knows that if he falls, Helen will too, along with the truth. But so long as he keeps fighting, even if he's hopelessly outmatched, the others can keep believing, just like Tom Cruise keeps fighting for Scientology.
And I will continue on my way, okay? These are the times now, people, okay? These are the times we will all remember. Were you there? What did you do? I think you know that I am there for you. And I do care so very, very, very much. So what do you say? We need to clean this place up? Huh?
Even Reacher's murder of Tulivik fits perfectly with the cultish religion Tom Cruise carries on his shoulders. In Scientology, the end state is a world without engrams, one where the thetan is found within each living person, a world where rationality wins out over emotion.
It's not ironic, it's just coincidental.
Reacher represents Scientology, Tulivik represents society. Knowing he cannot win an argument with society overcome by engrams, Reacher would rather destroy it, because ultimately, ignorant people who are corrupted by their engrams are behind all the evils in the world, and they will always manipulate the outcome so it reaches their desired ends. Just like society subverted truth in Reacher's past, so will they in his present case. So, being that the endgame is an engram-free world, the ends justify the means. One might ask, why does Jack Reacher seem to be the only one in the movie who can see events clearly?
Ridiculous, right?
It's grassy knoll ludicrous.
There's no point looking any further.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's because he is the operating thetan, which is basically a state within Scientology, which you pay for, of course, where you have supposedly overcome your engrams, which unlocks knowledge and abilities that would otherwise be hidden. To say it differently, in Scientology, the more engrams a person overcomes, the closer they get to their true self, which uncovers hidden abilities, such as omniscience.
You never took any notes.
Oh, I don't need to.
By the end of the movie, Helen has gone through counseling with the help of the master, Jack Reacher. Now, she is ready to go out and help as many poor souls as she can. All those trapped in ignorance, yearning for answers to questions they don't know how to ask, and they didn't even know they wanted to. She has become a disciple of the Chosen One.
You're gonna be okay, James. I am gonna take care of you.
In the movie, Jack Reacher transcends labels of good and evil. He stands for truth and serves as the culmination of what Scientologists want you to believe that you could be if you too dedicated your life to their religion.
He could end this.
He could end this.
Single-handedly.
Correct.
He is the one person.
Correct.
Who could end this.
And because they're saying that he single-handedly is clearing the planet, is changing the planet. So most Scientologists believe
The planet. He couldn't even make Jack Reacher a hit.
Thankfully, Jack Reacher is a work of fiction, just like Scientology. Unfortunately, for millions of people who fall prey to their cultish religion, the lifestyle is not.
But you don't know this until $300,000 later, and then you're really immersed into it.
That's another great thing I learned from your show. You said, it always sticks with me, you said when you go to a Scientology event and you look in the parking lot, every one of the cars is a cheap, shitty old car.
Correct.
Because Scientology sucks all the money out of all of us.
Correct. My mother's laughing because she's in the audience, and she's the only one who had a nice car because I bought it for her.